Okay, we are live. Thank you so much for being here. I am a little early. We are going live at 11 o'clock, but nonetheless, we are here today for our market update and kind of a little bit of real estate talk here for the Bakersfield, California area. If you are new here, I am Angel, your local Bakersfield Realtor here on the Living in Bakersfield channel. If you're thinking about moving to Bakersfield, a call, a text, an email will get a hold of me and my team, and we can make that process super smooth and easy for you, because I have a slew of local lenders that I work with. And today you're going to meet one of my favorites. His name is Allyn. So let me introduce you to Allyn. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
So Allyn and I have done several transactions over the years together. And then also he and I are both very prominent on video. Clearly, you're watching this channel, you're watching this live stream. So praise the Lord. Thank you for being here. But also Allyn is very prominent in his industry. He's a lender. And so he will talk about that in just a minute. But if you are thinking about moving to Bakersfield, I will absolutely lovingly hand you over to Allyn so that he can get all of the numbers that you need to get started, to figure out what you can afford, when you can move, what it looks like on your payment. Am I right, Allyn?
Absolutely.
So let's give a brief little introduction on who you are, and then let's talk about the Bakersfield real estate market, because I think people are going to be very, very happy.
Sure. So I'm raised here in Bakersfield, California, went to local schools, went off to UC Santa Barbara for my degree. And surprisingly enough, I wound up in a degree with English. And
hey,
I wound up in finance because my father actually was in finance and he had a stroke. So I had to learn this industry very quickly to be able to help support my parents, as well as my wife, who I brought her here in 2001 pregnant. And that was an exciting thing because it was July. And if you know anything about Bakersfield, it gets a little warm in July. And
I've been pregnant in July myself. I understand.
Raised in the Central Coast area, Carpinteria very specifically. So it was a little bit of a shock. But I can tell you, I love this community. I've been very proud to represent it and help so many people, literally thousands of clients over the years. So I've been in the industry since 2002. And I think the biggest thing that I can offer clients is, number one, transparency, and help them make the best financial decision with the tools that they currently have. And I think helping people come in from out of the area is a big deal, specifically because they don't know what we know. They don't know the areas. They don't know the local hangouts. They don't understand kind of how our local economy works.
Right.
We're actually on a growth phase right now. I mean, if you look at just sheer numbers, our sign as you enter the area still shows below 400,000, but I know we're probably closer to 1 million when you look at the unincorporated areas of Bakersfield and Kern County.
I agree.
And isn't it funny, when they just opened the Centennial Corridor, it's made my life like beautifully happy because I live on the northeast side of town, the mountains that you can actually reach and drive to and still be considered Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And getting on the 58 and being able to cross over the 99 and get to Allyn Road, right? Which there's a lot of cool things on the northwest side of town. And you can really feel that has actually connected both west and east.
It's really, and I agree. I was on it the other day and I was like, oh, this is so cool.
When you don't have to stop, you're like, this is awesome.
I know. You didn't almost like get into a car wreck doing the transition. You're like, oh my gosh, this is sweet.
I know, we get excited about little things out here.
I know. Well, you know what's really cool is I don't think people have realized that they can, we're not even talking about the real estate market yet, but people don't even realize that they can go from like way out west, way off the 5, all the way to Vegas. Just stay on that and you can go all the way out. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, big connector. And it's actually made a lot of difference for a lot of people in town too, because we jokingly say we're so spread out. It takes about 30 minutes to get most places, right? Well, now it's 25. 25. Hey, 5 minutes is 5 minutes. I know that people live in Southern California, Los Angeles. They can literally live in West LA and try to get to the east side. It'll take them an hour and a half.
Yes.
I mean, that's not an exaggeration.
Nope.
So, and the proximity to so many things. We're Central California. You can be 4 hours to Sacramento, San Francisco. Literally, there's like a mile difference when you do the comparison. San Diego, 4 hours. Los Angeles, an hour and 40 minutes. the Central Coast, you can be at the beach in an hour and a half, right?
Yep.
In Las Vegas, 4 hours. So we've got it all.
Everything, just preach. You're just saying
Yeah,
everything I
no, it's
say
just
on that channel all the time.
yeah,
I
and
love it.
it's a beautiful thing. And I think that people that have maybe fears or trepidations to buying a house in an area they're not sure about, I can
Yeah.
tell you that bottom line is that proximity to other things that you like to do with the prices that we offer in this region are significantly better. Because if you go literally 65 minutes to go to Santa Clarita area,
Right.
prices will go up 40 to 50%.
Dramatically. You're in LA
Yeah,
County.
yeah, absolutely.
You're back in
So,
LA
I mean,
County. Trick or treat.
we say your biggest bang for your buck is really having an opportunity to be here
Yeah.
and have families. It's a really good family town.
Yeah, I agree. I think you moved here in 2001. I moved here, or you brought your wife over in 2000.
Yes, I was raised here, so I've
You
been
were
here
raised
for a few
But,
years.
I mean, I think just that whole perspective is like, I don't think people understand just the value of like what you're getting. You're not just buying a less affordable house. You're buying a whole new like way of life that you are, that like looks like, the cookie cutter house with the white picket fence and your 2-car garage. It's like, yeah, it is still possible. I love it.
We have them. We have them.
Tell me all the things. Tell me all the things, Allyn. What do you want me to
Yeah.
pull up?
Well, let's go ahead and we'll talk about the market update real quick. So today CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, came out and is actually worse than we expected. It didn't help the market, but we're still seeing interest rates just below 7% on average. And big picture thinking, we have come down for we peaked in October where we were actually in the low 8s. So the market has improved. I think the activity locally has really jumped a lot since January 1. And the reason why is I think that there was a bit of a hesitation to figure out what was going to happen with the market. So locally speaking, if you look at where we are now, the median sales price, if you look at this graphic here, shows $450,292. Now, for us people that live here versus, say, Arkansas, this is a huge number. I get it. But, cost of living is higher here as well. I know that
for
you
California, though, for California.
Exactly right. So you take a $450,000 house and you move it to Los Angeles, you're lucky if you get a 2-bedroom. I'm just being very honest. And it's just the value you're getting for that.
Yeah.
$450,000 buys you a very nice home here in our city.
Yep.
So looking at this chart, I want to kind of highlight some things. Number one, the median household income is showing at $72,205. It's slightly lower than the national average. But please understand, anytime you're looking at averages, you're also taking the highest of the highest, Marin County, right? And you're taking the lowest of the lows. And when you do that, you're going to have a comparison. And average being 72,205, that does put us below what most people would need to make in order to buy the median. So it does take a 2 household income really to afford a house out here. Now, if somebody's selling something, putting a tremendous amount of money down, it makes the affordability better.
Yeah. If they're selling in one of those LA County, Marin County, and they decided to come here and live near grandkids or whatever, they're winning.
Yeah. And if you look at the demographics, this is a big thing to look at. The ages between 27 and 35 make up 139,000 people in our county.
Wow.
And if you look at that, that's a big number, but it's also the future of where we're going, right? So we do have quite a few people that are going to be in the buying phase very soon.
Well, those millennials, those are millennials, right? 27 to 35 or 36 to 44.
Yeah. There's a little crossover. So it depends on when you're really born, right? So if you look at it, that 98,000 and then the 127. So the 127 is going to be basically those people that are currently in a position where their children are going to be old enough to buy homes very soon. And that 45 to 54, their kids are that 27, 35, if you really think about it. And that's the next phase. So when you look at the homeowners and the renters that are available right now, renters make up 32% of our market, right? But the homeowners make up 57%. And if you have the opportunity to buy versus rent, it's definitely a recommendation. You'll get more value out of what you're doing. Your dollars go further, and what you're doing actually has an impact for your long-term wealth. And that brings us to the forecasted appreciation. If you look above, if you look at a house right now, that's the median at 450, 292, and you go out 5 years,
Okay.
They're projecting a 22% increase. That means that
Damn.
house that you paid
Is that our
$450,000,
county, or is that for the state? Is that our
this
county?
is for our zip code, that particular zip code, 93311.
Wow.
Yeah, so that appreciation over 5 years is significant. You want to see somebody that has wealth that grows over time, it's through real estate,
That's
right?
amazing.
We would
That
all
close
love to go
seeing
back
that
and
number
say,
is gorgeous.
should have bought Monster Energy in 2000, or maybe even buying Apple stock back then. We
Right.
don't have that crystal ball. But
Right.
real estate, you have to have a place to live. You have a place to raise your family. You have an opportunity to build wealth. And here's the nice thing. Let's just say you go 3 years down the road. You've appreciated over $60,000. Sell that house. Buy your next home. Move that equity. Provide yourself some leverage. Pay off debt if you don't have any. That's even better. But pay off debt and get yourself in the next property. So we're seeing a lot of people do that too right now.
I just closed somebody at the end of last year, and we were sitting, I think we closed at 437.
Mhm.
So this 450 is like spot on. And we were talking, I went over to their house recently, and we were talking about, like, you're going to live here 3 to 5 years. This isn't your forever home, because they're wanting to put a pool in, blah, blah, blah. But looking at those numbers, like, holy macaroni, that would be fantastic for them. If there's in those 3 to 5 years to look at what they're going to make.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And they're in the 1-1 too. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And that's the thing too. So different regions in town, you're going to find faster appreciation.
Sure.
But as you know, being a real estate professional, as you show people property, one of the things that drives that are school districts, right?
Mhm.
The quality of the schools, you will find that those will go for a higher premium. Other factors that make a home more valuable would be having an ADU, having a shop, having a pool, having a lot that has RV access, having a 3-car garage.
Yep.
So all of these things are present, right? And they have incremental value adds. But you can also find some great deals in more mature neighborhoods that have been around for literally 50 years.
Right.
The homes are lovingly cared for, that you pay less cost per square foot. And more specifically, these homes are established, right?
Yeah.
And they may not be as expensive, but you're going to get the amenities you want. And now, like I said, with the Centennial Corridor or West Side Parkway open, you can get anywhere in 25 minutes. I'm going to keep pushing it because it actually warms my heart. It's such a cool thing. I love it.
I love it. I love it. Here, you want me to pull up that other slide?
Yeah,
for
let's
you?
do that.
This one? Okay. Oops.
Actually,
sorry.
go back. We want to go to the other beginning of that slide set.
Sorry.
All right. So
look at that cute face.
So I found this online, guys. It's not me. It's not my child. But I love the hair, because growing up here in Bakersfield, being half Asian, my hair grew like that. It was hard. I couldn't tame it. It wasn't until I got to college that gel actually worked. And I should show you some real pictures. But anyways, a lot of this starts with a plan. When I talk to a client and we've never had any business interactions, even if you were to talk to past clients of mine, I always ask people, would you just go into a situation unprepared? And the reality is you shouldn't. A lot of people do, and they think, well, we'll figure it out. But when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars and hard-earned money as well as time, moving is stressful. If I ask randomly 10 homeowners, if you had to move in 30 days, would you be ready? The answer is probably no, because we have so much stuff, right? But more specifically, our lives are established. We have careers, we have relationships, we have groups that we are part of. This could be church, it could be athletics, it could be, your local place you play golf at, or you go fishing at your favorite watering hole. So the things that we see, it's your life. So when people downplay this, I really want to regroup them and say, listen, you can definitely go online and work with any lender, which is not always recommended when you're buying in a specific area. Local knowledge has a lot to do with it. So, Angel, when you talk to an out-of-town lender, and I mean, obviously people might be coming from other parts of the country too, but I'm local to our region. When you have an out-of-town lender that you have no rapport with, I think your trust level isn't as high with the close ratio and the confidence that it's going to get done, right? So allowing people an opportunity to have local representation, lenders that know the real estate professionals that know the lenders, there's a level of communication as well as trust that allows that transaction to move forward, I think, at a better pace. and allow us as team members to help you to leverage.
It
I've
feels
got a
like
great
you've got more
video.
people on your side, right? Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna potentially see you at Costco, right? Like,
Yes,
I'm gonna potentially
absolutely.
see you
I
out and
did,
about.
and I figured out your son is a tall kid, man. So yeah,
Yes,
no,
he's almost 6 foot.
yeah,
But yeah, that's
that's
exactly
exactly
what
right.
it is, where like we have it's almost like they've got an instant community helping them join our community. So I agree with you. I think
Yeah,
going local is like always the best option,
yeah, and
you
and it
know. And
definitely
sometimes they
helps.
have relationships and I get that. And and I can appreciate that. But from somebody who's trying to help them navigate their escrow or whatever, um, I'm kind of at the mercy of how that lender communicates. I'm like, I don't know.
Sure.
Did they send the email? I don't know. They didn't message me. I don't know what, you know. But yeah.
And more specifically, there is a proven track record. I mean, you could literally Google me or check ratings. I'm in the community. I'm
Yep.
active. I don't
Yep.
get out as much as some people, but I'm not a real flash and dash kind of guy. So
Right.
I really want results for my clients, and I want them to understand that at the heart of what we do, it's here to serve and to
Yep.
help them make good financial decisions.
I
And
love it.
every day in every way, we try to be better. And if I don't know the answer, I can darn tell you, I'm like a bulldog. I'll go find the answer because
Yeah.
I want the right information, right?
Yeah.
Because people take action based off the data that's provided.
Well,
So,
and you're working for them. I think there's also something to be said for, like you were saying, you would go find the answer, but like, I'm bringing you a client and I'm like, here's what I know. And then when you start digging into the back end and you're trying to solve all the financial numbers to make it work for whatever property we're looking at, like it just makes more sense when you and I communicate of like, okay, so what do I need to ask for with this offer, or how do I need to tweak this on the counter? So you and I are working in their best interest all the way through. Like, not just like, okay, they're pre-approved, let's go. Like, I don't know. It just
well,
feels like you know, I don't know, we're just a team.
absolutely. And this is kind of what I want to bring up in it. And it's around the team concept. Do you watch sports, Angel? I don't know that you watch sports. What is your
I
favorite?
grew up
What's your
watching
favorite?
sports.
What type of sport do you like watching?
I grew up watching football and baseball with my dads and uncle. My
Okay,
dad and
so
uncle. Let me try that the other way. I didn't have more than one dad. Dad and uncle.
so
Yeah.
there's one thing about baseball that I like. Number one, hitting a ball that's coming at you at a high rate of speed and is moving, okay, is not the easiest thing to do. So we can always be armchair quarterbacks, as we call it. Like
Right.
why did you let that guy hit you in football,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that a professional will make the difficult look easy,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So there have been multiple situations where I have clients come back and they said, that was so easy. And you say, well, that's great. Congratulations, right? And they say, why was it so easy? Because my friend, and it's always a comparison. We live our lives day to day
Right.
in relation to other people's experiences. So if you make it look easy, it's because professionals were working with you.
Yep.
And that's just the bottom line.
Yep.
And if they're going to practice on you, then maybe you should probably find another situation, because I don't like to be practiced on. I mean,
Right.
I'm being in full,
Yeah.
transparency here. Practicing is not good when it comes to your money. So
Right.
getting those things worked out. And I have a great testimonial video that came from a gentleman moved from Philadelphia out here to pastor a church. And he said to the effect that when he got here and everything was done, I had never met him.
Oh, wow.
Right. But when we shook hands, he says, I felt like I've known you.
Aw.
And
Yay.
then, hugging the family and talking to them. Here was the thing that was most impactful about it all. He had sold a house back in Philadelphia and was asking the agents here and me for advice because he was having so many problems selling a house that he was lived in, a community for over 15 years.
Oh, gosh.
So, having a good team helps you to make good decisions. So
100%.
that's kind of the message there.
Yes.
Can we flip over to the next slide?
Sure. You can have access to this. You don't have to.
Oh, I don't know how to do. Okay, very good. Well, I appreciate that. So what I've done here, Angel, is I brought up a couple of ideas, if you will, on what your overall budget needs to be in order to afford homes within certain price ranges. So this is below the median, but if you had income of net, now not, before taxes, but net of about 95,000 with minimal debt, let's just say between $200 to $500 a month,
Okay.
you could afford a house of roughly 394,000. Okay. Now, this is putting minimal down. Obviously, if you put more money down, your buying power increases.
Right.
You would need probably about 33,000 cash to close. This includes a down payment, estimated closing costs, and we're using a sample interest rate at 6.875. Now, this is not an official quote. NMLS tells me to say that. California, real estate law says that, but this is just an idea. You would need about $95,000 net to qualify for a 394 sales price.
Right.
But more specifically, when you break down the principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance, because there's not 20% down, you're about $3,100 a month. Okay. I know this seems high for a lot of people, but I know that rents right now.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
Yeah, they're renting between $2,600 to $2,700 right now.
Yep.
So to own your home, it's a big benefit.
Yep.
So, how do I advance the next slide?
Oh, let me just do it for you. There you
All
go.
right, there we go. See, Andrew, you have the magic hands behind us.
I have all the power.
So if we up this to $105,000 net income, it bumps you almost, 50,000. We're at 444. I tried to get as close as I could to the even numbers, but just below 450. And what this is working through on these calculations is your debt ratio is not exceeding 45%. So it puts your debt ratio around 42.5. And I'll stop here and explain why I use those ratios.
Okay.
It has to do with being conservative, protecting the consumer, because when you qualify a borrower, you're qualifying their credit, their capacity, and then the third thing is collateral. So let's talk about the credit. Credit is an evaluation of your credit history, the monthly obligations that you have. The capacity is an evaluation of your income. It's saying how much you have coming in, how much is going out, and then putting a measurement on that called a debt ratio.
Right.
Well, when we could pre-approve somebody, we're evaluated the credit and capacity, but we're missing a very important C, the third C, which is collateral. It's the house. So I can be absolutely ready to go. Angel, you can show them this beautiful home. They get fully excited about it, but there's a solar lease on it. And that payment is $300 a month or $250, right?
Yep.
Or there's an HOA. Well, these numbers need to add to the loan balance that we're actually, or pardon me, to the debt ratio calculation, and it could affect their ability to buy. So being conservative in this number allows us that ability to be flexible.
Yeah.
And if they can afford more, great, but we don't want to overburden the client either.
Well, and sometimes they have the HOA and the solar.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, depends on the area that you're buying in, but there are some benefits to certain HOAs. And if you want to be in that community, absolutely. And the next one is an income of 125,000 net. This bumps you up to over 550,000 with a payment of around $4,100 a month. Note here that if you are putting greater amounts down, the principal and interest will go down with that. And your property taxes and insurance will remain the same because that's driven by the sales price and what they have to insure the property for.
And the zip code.
Yes, and the zip code. And the last slide here is if we jump up to a sales price of $688, just under the 700,000 mark, you'll need about $150,000 net. But that does give you that $5,000 payment, and that's a big number. I'm not going to lie.
That's a chunk.
People can afford it. And we do see this sale regularly at that price point.
There are doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs that, but there are many industries that pay well above beyond that affordability. So I don't ever want to talk down to somebody as like, oh, you only make 95,000. Like that's a significant income. But there are many people that watch and that move here that have, multiple six-figure incomes. And so this is just as relative to them as it is to somebody that makes, 95, whether it be on one income or two. What's the sixth slide? Oh, there we go. Here we go. So now talk about what we were talking about off.
So I brought up this slide. It's a little overwhelming, but one of the challenges we run into is that people are coming to the table with a lot of student loan debt. And this has been more of a recent phenomenon, I would say in the last 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And because of that, people have to know how they qualify. So let's just say that the average student loan debt is $60,000. Well, every loan type actually uses a different calculation to find out what to use for the monthly debt. So I'll break this down. The first three are government insured loans. This includes FHA, USDA, and VA. Now you'll notice here that FHA uses.
Hang on. That's me. Hang on. Go. You keep talking. I'm going to
Okay.
bump.
FHA uses 0.50% of the balance. And then they will actually multiply that. Say the example I use 55,000 at 0.5%, your monthly qualifying debt would be 275. Now understand, if you as a borrower actually have what they call an income driven repayment plan, that means that the loan servicer has actually calculated your income and usable income. They will then go ahead and reduce that amount and actually create for you a payment plan. And if it's less than that 275, we'll use that amount. USDA uses 0.5% as well. But VA is a little bit different duck. Let me explain. If you take VA's calculation, they will take 5% of the cumulative balances of the student loan. In this example, 55,000 times 5% gives you 2,750, and they divide that by 12, and they'll use a qualifying monthly debt of 229.16. Now look at the example difference. 0.5% on FHA and USDA gives you 275 a month.
Wow.
Whereas VA is less than that at 229.16. Okay.
VA still wins all day.
Yeah, it's a tremendous program, and it's a huge benefit to our veterans specifically for their service. But we're giving them 100% financing in the mortgage insurance, which is huge buying power.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the last two, which are conventional loans. Freddie Mac is more conservative, or pardon me, less conservative on this, meaning they'll allow you to have a lower calculation, which mirrors FHA. They'll use 0.5%.
Okay.
But Fannie Mae, being the outlier in that sense, they'll use 1%. So you have a higher payment on a Fannie Mae loan versus FHA, or pardon me, versus Freddie Mac. But here's the key. If you qualify for Fannie Mae, you very likely qualify for Freddie Mac because they're competing conventional loan classes. Mm-hmm. However, you want to see what suitably fits your situation. And there may be one reason to select a program like Fannie Mae versus Freddie Mac, but the lender will do this for you. I don't expect consumers to come up with all this stuff because it's more stressful of them having to do all of their research.
That is not our lane.
No, and I don't
like we don't want to wing this
worry about
that
this at all. No. But this is all done prior to making any offers. Mm-hmm. I like to say if you build a house, you have to have a foundation, build a strong foundation. So it's very difficult to rock that foundation. So your loan approval should have a very solid footing. So when you're making an offer, you're worried about getting accepted, going through your inspections, completing the closing of the escrow, but your qualification for the loan should not be an issue at all.
Yeah, no, we need to make sure that we're well past all of this front end. There are lenders, and generally speaking, they've been the out-of-town lenders. I don't think they do a lot of this front end homework. They give somebody a pre-qualification letter. Oh, you can go buy 575. And then it's just kind of real broad, whether they be an online lender or they just haven't dug in like this. And then we get under contract and they're like, yeah, no, you can't. Sorry. And, then I have to hand it off to somebody that I trust, like, here, get us over the finish line because I don't know what happened. So I love that you do this on the front end.
One of the worst things I think is that we started out the conversation talking about emotion, right? Buying real estate can be very emotional.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money. We're not talking about $50 here, right?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah.
When you show somebody property and they get excited, and perhaps it could be a virtual tour, and the parents are like, oh, that's going to be little Billy's room. That's going to be little Cassandra's room. This is the backyard. Yep. They get emotionally vested.
Yep.
Well, you can pop that bubble very easily if you don't do your homework on the front end. Right. And then the emotions start flooding out because now your trust has gone down.
I always say to them, like, it wouldn't do me. It's not fair for me to show you a house that you can just barely afford. It's the same thing as if I were to show you a multi-million-dollar house that you can't afford. It's the same. Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's not fair. That's not kind. It's not in your best interest. So like, let's back this bus up, figure out what the numbers look like before we step into a house that, you can't even afford. Cause I could go, it's the same feeling of like, wow, wouldn't this be nice? It's not nice to do to people.
I found out with fishing equipment, because I got into fishing about 4 years ago, you're
Okay.
always going to find a nicer rod, a better reel, better
Sure.
line. I don't
Sure.
care what you're doing, but do you need it all? You can always work your way up, right?
Right.
So I know a lot of people that have golf clubs. They spent thousands upon thousands of dollars, and they go back to their old ones. Why? Because they work. And they're consistent with them.
Yeah.
And then you wind up getting a great deal on a used set of clubs. But the point I'm trying to make is find what fits for you. Trust someone like Angel to help you to make a good decision, because she is your eyes and the ears in the local community. She knows, what are going to be the things that your hot buttons are after you have a conversation.
Right.
And it's really frustrating for me when somebody thinks that, oh, I'm going to withhold that data because I don't want them to find out. Well, I can tell you, lenders don't take any shortcuts today. They do deep dives and background checks, and they're looking at your bank statements and assets. They're doing things to make sure that they're making a good credit decision. But for that reason, we have less default. We have people that can work out plans if they need with their lenders, and they have a higher level of success because banks don't like owning property. It's a very expensive thing to foreclose on a home.
Yeah.
Especially in California, being that we are a foreclosure state, right? So
Are we?
when we go through this process, we want to help people to have success. We want you to have your family in a position where you're growing your net worth and developing in the community. So don't take shortcuts. Bottom line, if it takes a little longer to do it right, take the time.
Yeah, I agree. This is why I work with you, because just being around people that know what they're doing, iron sharpens iron. That's biblical.
Absolutely.
We love that. But it also just, you've just clarified to everybody that's watching, like, just exactly why I like working with you, because your stuff. Like, you're not just winging and slinging. You're being very methodical, and there's a reason for it. It's so that we can get over the finish line, so that we can get them into the home that they can afford. Because what happens is they get into this house and then they're making the payment every month that they cannot afford. Then they're calling me, then they're mad at you, then we're not friends, then they hate us. And, well, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be friends when we're done. So, and I want the same scenario like what you had with the gentleman you described earlier, where it was like you felt like you knew you.
Yeah.
That's the beauty, is where they just like, oh, this is great. This was easy. I love that.
Yeah. And Bakersfield's not that big. It's a big little city. You're going to run into people everywhere.
Yep.
Right?
Big little city. Exactly.
Because of that, there's an accountability that happens, but more specifically, when I see my clients, they become friends, and I say, listen, I want to give you a handshake and a hug, not, oh my gosh, there they are,
Right. Exactly.
So we want to see each other and just be very happy of the fact that, we know the fact that they're here, they're in the community, they're thriving, and they're not going to have 100% happy days every day. And that's okay. I love it. So let's love on each other. That's the way I like to do my business.
Let me ask you this question. One final question.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Let me type it in. Where can people find you? Where does it, if they want to reach out to you and they want to follow you, they want to learn from you?
So if my name shows on the screen, you can actually get on Instagram and just search Allyn with a Y, Allyn Medeiros. You'll find me on Instagram. I post content pretty regularly, a lot of short form stuff. I don't know how to make mortgages sexy, I'll be honest with you. So I try to be fun, make information accessible, and try to break it down, right? So that's one way. Number two,
there it is.
You can always visit my website. It's just really simple. You get these vanity websites and you're like, what could be a great website? Well, allynmedeiros.com, spelled funny. That's one way, but the easier one is actually mynexthomeloan.com.
Oh,
you go to mynexthomeloan.com. It's the same exact website as allynmedeiros.com, but it's easier to spell, right?
Yes.
And from there, you can schedule an appointment. We do virtual meetings. We can do face-to-face if you're willing to fly out, if you're coming from out of the area or you're local to Bakersfield, swing on by. My office is on California Avenue. We've been in this building since 2004. This is our 20th year. Can you believe that?
Woohoo!
We've had over 20 different companies that have been in this building and have left as mortgage companies, just showing the staying power of what we had, because they're business suites. So we're proud to say that as a local grown company, we really are investing in the community and want to help people. So yeah, mynexthomeloan.com, the cell phone number there, text, call, you can leave a voicemail, which I think people are kind of averse to leaving voicemails now. For some reason, it's becoming archaic. But
everybody says, just text me. It's for a faster response.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, those are ways to reach me.
I like to talk on the phone.
I do too.
But anyway, well, thank you so much, Allyn. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
In the description below, I will have all of your information if they missed it throughout this live stream. But and I just really appreciate you bringing straight knowledge of all that you do and know and have learned through the years. And being a local boy, you're the best.
Thank you so much, Angel. It was very kind.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if I don't see you at Costco, I will see you around town. But thank you so much for watching.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.